Hey, what is up everyone? Welcome back to another review, and today I'm taking a look at the high-grade RX 78GE Gundam EX from the brand new Gundam show on Netflix, Gundam Requiem for Vengeance. Now I'm just gonna get right to the point. This right here is a Gundarium tier high-grade and the pinnacle of what Bandai has done with high-grade kits. It's got an almost full inner frame, the armor layers up on it perfectly. There's so much attention to detail to this design, it is off the charts. I did do a little bit extra, I did use the included stickers, which kind of remind me of classic real grade stickers, as in they're very nice and way above what you'd usually see for a high grade. I pen aligned it too, and overall this is what I got in the end, and I love this kit so much, and I think you will too. Anyway, I got mine as usual from those awesome people over at HobbyLink Japan, link is down there in the description, but yeah, let's just get right on into the review of this white demon of a kit. So usually with my reviews I start off with the build, but this kit's build was so involved and so over the top, I did do a full video for it, which to me is absolutely unprecedented for a high grade kit. That just shows the level that this kit is at. So if you do want to know the ins and outs about this kit, including the fact that it does have a full inner frame, some really ridiculously intricate layering of armor as well as surface detailing, then you can check out that review to find out everything about the build. After that though, to get it ready for this review, I did pan align it a little bit using the pour type Gundam markers. These are the type that you just touch the places you want to fill in with ink and they will do the job for you pretty much, and then you just wipe away the little mark where you touched it onto them. This kit is so intricate, these are the type of pan liners I definitely recommend, or it will take you forever to get all the little details out on this. After that I did use the included stickers, which blew my mind. These are like what you would have seen once before on real grade kits. These aren't just like little cut out squares with a decal on them. When you stick it on, you will see the outline of the decal. No, these are like the way real grades were. These are full stickers for on full panels. So when they go on, the actual outline of the sticker is set to the part. So you never see an outline because it is flush to the edge of a section, and that is so nice. Now the only stickers that drop the ball on this a little bit are the EFGF stickers for up on the shoulders. These are the typical rectangular sized ones with the outline on them, but these are rounded shoulder armors, so that would have gotten a little bit in the way. But once this was popped back together, this thing is ridiculously detailed. I mean, it almost does look like a real grade. Alright, so now jumping into the aesthetics, and there's the kit in all of its glory with a little bit of extra work, not a whole lot. Like I mentioned, I did pan line this using a pour type panel liner. That was pretty quick to do. I'm thinking about 7 or 10 minutes maybe in that zone, but otherwise this is what you're going to be getting out of box, the stickers attached. Bandai has definitely brought high grade to the next level with this. If you do take the Gundam EX that we do see in Requiem for Vengeance, that's a very detailed mobile suit because it is for a CG animation, and what they actually pulled off with getting all of that detail into a tiny kit that is just a high grade is incredible. This is on par with real grades that are out there, especially earlier ones, and it just looks so good. All the tiny little details molded in there are all there. For the most part, it is nearly 100% color accurate, and just no matter where you look, there is something awesome to see. Gray sections from the inner frame coming out, ridiculously deep molded detail into the armor. Overall, this thing is absolutely gorgeous. Alright, so blasting through the points worth mentioning, I'll just work from the head down. So when it comes to the Gundam EX, like we saw in the build, there are 3 options for stickers with this kit. That is 1 light on, 2 light on, 3 lights on. I went for all of them on because I thought it looked like really kind of, well, it'd be hard to see the red in the eyes without it. Also, I will mention there is no color separated eyes underneath. These are very classic, and the head camera is also a sticker. While I'm on the topic of stickers, so I don't forget, there are the eyes that you can choose from, and this one right here, which I did not use, number 5, is for on the crotch. Again, it's just for kind of a little bit of a gold detail, which isn't really all that big of a deal, in my opinion. Moving down now to the torso. When it comes to the torso on the Gundam EX, this might be one of the most detailed torsos around. Also, I will mention the reds on here, like in the neck, on the sides of the body right here, and a nice subdued red compared to what we would normally see, kind of adds to its threatening look. And all of these parts layer on absolutely perfectly. They just look fantastically layered as well. Around back, the backpack is incredibly detailed with some very nice and movable little thruster sections here and here. Very atypical for a Gundam, definitely. And all of those extra weapon sections attached onto the backpack all look incredibly nice as well. Just like the rest of the kit, the arms look incredible. I'm going to mention at this point the stickers. These are set to the areas that they're stuck on. So instead of being just kind of lined around the little segment right there, we get no kind of reflective edges because this is perfectly cut out to it. That is what we always used to see on real grade. Same on the knee, that whole flat panel, the sticker has been just sized to that, so it's not two individual small ones. Same with the one right here on the chest as well. All of that just works out so nice. Very nice attention to detail, especially because the decals are somewhat on the small size design-wise. Also, something worth mentioning when talking about the arms is the color distribution. So we do have a fairly darker than average light grey on this Gundam, as well as the white as the predominant color scheme. It has been laid out quite nicely. The legs, you can see, are in more grey than there is white, and this does give it a very unique look too. Also, thank you in advance, thank you in not advance, the opposite to advance, to all you guys who mentioned where I saw these kind of wrists before. That is definitely on the high grade wound wart, but I don't know if we had that secondary joint in there. I might be actually mixing up two kits with that. But yeah, the detail on this, even popping out from the grey sections, does look fantastic. Also, same down here, when it is ab crunched to the front, we've got some piping inside. Incredible. The Gundam diaper looking very nice as well. Again, spread into some nice little part separation. Light white on light grey on the darker grey inside. Similar looking front and back, which is very Oryx 78-2-ish, and overall very, very nice design. Down on the legs of this kit, we are seeing some of the nicest kind of greebles we've ever seen on a GUNPLA. This is very, very nice recessed little areas in there. We've got these sections up here which are nice for getting some panel lines into, and overall just everything about the lining, super, super beautiful. Again, just touching on the stickers that are right there again, very, very nicely. Bottoms of the feet fully in beautiful grey. I didn't panel line those, but you could get a little bit of dark and shadow going, and overall an incredibly detailed and dynamic looking high grade Gundam model kit. Let's get it spinning. So jumping into the full 360 spin so you can see all of the detail for yourself as usual. Everything about this is so nice. I will mention, I forgot to mention it a second ago, but I did cut off the safety flags on the V-fin, so there will be some little chubby bits on the end of the antenna when you get this out of box. You can just snip those off, just be careful while doing it, just to get the nice sharp points. Besides that though, this is just what you will get out of box. It's barely cleaned up, just panel lined a bit, and honestly, this is incredible. I'm blown away by the amount of detail on every surface of this particular mecha. It does look so, so nice. It looks heavy duty, it looks cool, and if you love your kits with a lot of detail, this will definitely be one for you. Jumping into the side comparison, there it is side by side with two high-grade Gundams, that being the Revive version of the original Gundam Granddaddy and the Revive Gundam Mark II. So as you can see, this robot is a little bit on the slightly taller than your average Gundam. But then again, scale can be a little bit on the funny side, so thrown in two stylized versions of the Oryx 782, being the high-grade Beyond Global and the real-grade Oryx 782. And it is a little bit more head heighty, similar with the real grade right here. And actually, these fit together extremely, extremely well, because this has almost real grade level of detail. And throwing it in side by side with two of the main Gundams from the last two releases before Requiem for Vengeance. That of course being Calibarn from Witch from Mercury and the mighty Strike Freedom from Gundam Seed Freedom. The reason I went for this besides the aerial is because I felt when it comes to the actual design of this kit, these are the two routes kits seem to have gone down in the last few years. This being the more kind of like technically advanced, a lot more detail, full kind of inner frame kind of gig. And if you like the Calibarn, but didn't really like the Mighty Strike Freedom right there because you felt it was a little bit of a step back or it was a little bit uninspired compared to the Witch from Mercury kits, then this kit right here, the Gundam EX, is more in line with Witch from Mercury when it comes to actual build and the overall kit. So jumping now into the accessories, and here is the high-grade Gundam EX with absolutely everything that it comes with. What we get in here is the usual loadout of sword, board, and beam rifle. The swords being a pair of beam sabers, we do have another handle with these. The board being this really unique, yet still semi-traditional shield. And the beam rifle is this beam rifle right here, which is a color variant of a gun cannon beam rifle. On top of that, we do have a hand for holding onto the beam rifle, which I've left connected onto it, as well as this base adapter segment right here. First off, talking about the compatibility and parts kind of stuff, the hands in here are your usual standard high-grade Gundam hands with the removable back and front kind of segment. The only thing that truly does make them any different is we do have an unusual 3mm peg here, so not the usual kind of ball joint. The only other alternate hand we have in here is the one for holding onto the beam rifle, which does look just like so. So sadly, that does mean we are missing any kind of nice pre-posed or over-the-top kind of hand, which is kind of sad considering you're not going to get hands that match these ones right here. So delving into that a little bit more, compatibility that is, if you just grab the backpack and yank it out. Actually, on this kit it really isn't that simple. You need to remove this side segment, then you need to remove this side segment, then and only then can you take off the backpack like so. But then after that you do have the usual backpack adapter in here. And it seems to be nicely spaced, so nothing should get in the way. Just grabbing a pack from over here, that is this one here off the back of the Mighty Strike Freedom. Actually, this might be a bit of a bad choice because this actually does have pretty bad spacing. So let's see if we can just try and stick that on. It somewhat fits. So if you need yourself some more animu in your not very animu Gundam robot, well, this might just be exactly what you need. So on to the weapons now. First off, talking about the onboard weapon, which is the shoulder Gatling gun. This is very, very, very nice. It looks incredible with great molded detail into it. It's in both white and grey. They can swing over the shoulder just like so, and the only real down point I feel with this is, it is attached by a very small little C-clip, which could be inclined to break, so be very careful with it. However, when it does flip up, it's got a really cool kind of gimmick, where the belt and the drum section of it roll up with it too. It is freely flowing kind of inside of it, so this does move naturally with the movement of the Gatling gun. Speaking of which, the belt is rubbery, so it does mean it can turn side to side like this as well, without really getting pushed by the rubbery belt. It just works really well. It works in every pose, it looks cool, and overall Bandai really killed it with this Gatling. Next up in here, we've got the beam sabers. Now, there is 3 handles for use with this particular mobile suit, one of which is still on the backpack. I just left it right there. There is only 2 beams, that's why I have only 2 of them like this. I guess the robot only has 2 hands, so it's not going to be, well, Roronoa Zoroing it. And because the runners were duplicates, it does mean there is 1 of these left over on the runners in case you, well, lose one. So when it comes to attaching the beam sabers, it's the usual Gundam routine. They just push into the hands just like so. Just testing out reverse grip as well, because it's always good to know if that works or not. Getting this into a pose was a little bit more problematic than I thought it would be, just for 2 kind of reasons. One, you'd expect the wrists aren't the usual Gundam style wrists, and I'm just kind of used to working with those. The other is, you're not able to raise the arms that high at the shoulders, which is something that took me by surprise when this was finished. They basically prioritized some detail on the shoulder over articulation, but this is what we got in the end. It still looks great, but it is limited in the way it can lift its arms up, which is mildly disappointing. When the beam sabers are not in use, they just get removed from the hands like so, pop out the beam like this, and then they can be mounted onto the rack on the back here, which has some nice articulation to it. They just pop onto some pegs, these can move back and forward, as well as the whole rack can flip up over the shoulder like so, which is reachable by the Gundam itself, which is always something I do appreciate. Can be a bit loose and pop off at times, so I'm not sure if that's something I did during the build. So it's about time to get the Gundam EX up in the air, and I will mention this kit does not have the usual kind of hole in its crotch zone in order to stick a stand into. We do have a little bit of an adapter in here to use with this slot. It slots in like so to give it a 3mm hole, and then you can just pop it up on a stand. The stand I'm using right here, as usual, is a hexagonal, simple stand by Good Smile Company. So next up in here, we've got the beam rifle. Now, I just built this onto the hand just for the sake of saving a little bit of time. That is the hand right there. This, like you guys mentioned in the build video, is heavily based on, if not, an actual gun cannon's beam rifle, just with some nice white on grey color separation. The detail on this is incredible. I recommend you panel line. This right here is a sticker, sadly, for this sight, so if you do want that to look perfect, you will need to apply some paint. But overall, very nicely detailed. Getting this weapon attached is the usual routine of sandwiching it into the hands, so that is normal. The wrist is different, you just plug it in like so. It is quite simple, and it holds on extremely well. Now, there is a little bit of limitations to this, of course, because there is no side-to-side pivot for some dramatic kind of posing, but there is an up and down, but the up is blocked somewhat by the stock end section of the rifle, but none of this really blocks it quite as much as the limitations to the upper shoulders. Overall, you will get a nice shooting pose out of it, but again, those upper shoulders, a bit of a letdown. Rifle, however, looking fantastic. When the rifle is not in use and you want to store it on the Gundam, you just remove the hand like so, pop it out of the hand by unsandwiching it like so, then it just pops via this little tab section right here into the butt of the Gundam like this. It holds on perfectly, looks good, nice connection, and nice and tucked away, out of reach. Well, in reach. Of course, it has to be in reach, but out of the way for now. So the last piece of equipment we have in here is the shield. Now, this is an incredibly nice design. The biggest letdown is what? Well, that logo right there. Well, that's meant to be in yellow, and the yellow is on a sticker sheet. That is probably one of the biggest letdowns without a doubt. However, the color separation is nice. We've got a nice dark red section with those little gray pieces popping through. The white looks nice. The underside is incredibly detailed, but I did not panel line it. Now let's get it attached, and it helps to take this bit off. So when it comes to attaching on the shield, it's good to have that little piece off so you can pop it directly into the hand, because this is a little bit awkward because you do have to attach the back of the hand on from kind of inside the handle. Can be a little bit tough at times. Anyway, once that's on, it's an easy attachment onto the Gundam itself. This poses up very nicely. You get a lot more articulation out of this than you would expect, and it's easy to get where you want it to be. There it is in a little bit of a pose, getting blasted backwards through the air, and honestly, nice shield, works that well. Shame a little bit about that yellow. So finally now onto the articulation. And first off, talking about the build on this. This is solid as, well, solid can be. You can shake the absolute bejesus out of it and it won't even move a micron. Never mind an inch. So working from the neck down, we do have a giggity goo. This is a hinge on the bottom, which is very interesting, and your standard ball joint up top. So you do get a decent amount of movement out of it. The shoulders right here are the only thing that have been letting me down so far, because that is as high as they can raise up on both sides, and that kind of happens if you pull it out too hard. So yeah, that's all you're getting out of the shoulders, because there is no additional joint in here, which there usually is. Mainly, I'd say to keep that little bit of detail intact. Of course, you can bring the shoulder all the way around. We do have the full shoulder roll in here. The shoulder can move out and forward because of that little joint in there, but you don't get anything out to the back. As for the arm itself, we've got the full rotation up top. There is the bend at the elbow, so incredibly nice the way it comes out from the upper section like that. Very nice. And then this unique wrist, which allows it to move up like that, and rotation at this point. Nice. When it comes to the ab crunch in here, it is nice, mildly limited, but it definitely is nice. It seems like Bandai decided to kind of keep all of this nice detail inside intact, so you don't actually see into the inner structure so much when bent, but it does feel like it could go a little bit further. Rotation is just from there to there, so again, a little bit limited. When it comes to the waist, it's really nice. These are simple, they just flap up like so. The whole waist unit inside of it is one piece of plastic, which is really nicely done. And one of the best aspects, of course, is this nice dropping waist segment right here. That allows the waist to drop down, so we get some good kicks up to the front like that. There it is out to the back. And there is it doing the split, so pretty much the full splits. Now, we don't have the full 360 spin right here, just this little bit, so that does mildly get in the way of some poses. And when it comes to the articulation on the leg, it is very nice. There is the bend at the knee, so it's a 2-point bend. Could go a little further, but not too bad. We've got some good joints at the feet right here. This bit of armor moves independently. And speaking of these joints, oh wait, we got a flap round back. But yeah, speaking of the ankle, getting it on the ground to test out that functional movement, and that's what we get out of the ankle without removing it off the ground. There it is to the back. There it is all the way to the front. The front is nice. And there is the side to side, which is about average, and ball joint popped. So finally throwing it into the usual pose, and this is a kit that is half awesome and half meh, which means it kind of falls in the middle but on the side of great, if you get what I mean. It is limited at some kind of annoying parts. The shoulders just are so limited, it's really kind of annoying. We do have some limitations in the waist and the ankles and the ab crunch as well, which means this isn't a kit that's going to be pulling off ridiculous over-the-top poses. Now, I assume that is the case when it comes to the Gundam EX. I doubt it's a mobile suit that raises its arms in the air like it just doesn't care, so it doesn't really matter if it can't do it in the model kit. You can't really hold it against it too much. I personally fucking do. But, in general, objectively, I guess you can't. But yeah, overall you do get a very nice pose, and definitely one that's befitting a giant, multi-ton monster of metal. And overall, you'll get the poses you want out of it, and that really is what counts. So anyway, that right there is it for the review, and even though there is some little disappointing aspects about this kit right here, I feel the overall package deserves that Gundarium tier ranking. And I will let you know, this is the last Gundarium tier kit of, well, ever. Never will a kit be getting Gundarium tier again, because I am completely revising this system. No more Gundarium tier. This is the last one. But yeah, basically going through everything aesthetically, this is one of the nicest, if not the nicest looking high-grade kit of all time. It's got an inner frame with nice detail that comes through, matching up so nicely with the super detailed surfaces and greebles that just gives you an absolutely eye-wateringly beautiful kit. Get some ink in there to panelline it, and it will look phenomenal. When it comes to the weapons and equipment in here, everything is great for the most part. It would have been nice to see some pre-posed hands included as well, but what can you really say? The beam sabers, the beam rifle, and the shield all look phenomenal, do what they need to do, and a little bit more in the looks department. Finally then, when it does come to the articulation on this, it's a solid kit, it moves very nicely, everything flows super well, the shoulders are a little bit of a letdown that it can't raise its arms up a little bit more, and there are some joints that could be a little bit better, but this does do what it needs to do for the robot in question, so you can't complain too much. This right here is the full package. If you want a highly detailed high grade, or even if you're just getting into the hobby through Requiem for Vengeance, this is a fantastic place to start. Whether you're a brand new builder or a veteran builder, this is the perfect high-grade kit, and like I said, the last Gundarium tier GUNPLA. Anyway, as always, thank you so much for watching. I got mine through Hobby Link Japan, link is down there in the description. Make sure to come back for more GUNPLA reviews, and I will see you next time. Once again, I kind of finished this video right here without thanking each and every one of you guys for watching my videos. That makes absolutely everything on here possible. If you don't want to support more interesting videos or just to improve the overall quality of the channel, you can help out on the channel memberships and over on Patreon. Patreon is really what does fund any and all improvements quality-wise to this channel. So a special shout out to Abraxas, Caleb Engelhart, Joe, RG59061, ShadowWolf179, Van Fawn, and Scotty Thomas. Link to join the Patreon and the Discord down there in the description.